This thing on? Mic check. I just want to make sure y'all can hear me clearly. Yeah. Should you practice art? Or should art be your practice? I had a question, so I asked it. Not to anyone specifically, but to my inner God, you know? The one that's gonna be a master. The one that's more than a rapper. The one that's an educator. The one that seeks enlightenment. He travels with concepts. He's got the mindset expansive. He understands that his time combined with travel and concepts makes his mind convex. Sort of like when you look at a brain scan.
Reggie here, and I want to welcome you to another one of my live streams. The show that you are watching right now is Comics Today, a show that we do on Wednesday night, occasionally as of late, to celebrate the best day of the week, that being New Comic Book Day. And as part of this celebration, I typically have a guest or two on to help me to make sense of something that is happening in the world of comics and collectibles, but that is not going to happen tonight. Instead, we are just going to focus on some current events, some things that are in the news that are top of mind for me and might also be top of mind for you. I'm also going to be going to the chat to figure out what it is that you guys may have picked up earlier today at your LCSs, and we're just going to chat about whatever it is that I happen to see in the chat. Super random, no agenda, no attenda kind of live stream. We used to do a lot more of these back in the day, and we are going to spin the clock back and do one today. So I have some things that I want to talk about, but we are going to freestyle this one by and large. I think you guys just saw the thumbnail switch up that I popped up there. So I think people took notice of that. So again, there are some things that I want to talk about, but we are going to kind of freestyle this one a little bit. Haters gonna hate, no doubt about it, says Mark. That's what's up. Kevin Pitts is up in here. If you were at your LCS today and picked up something, I want to know what you picked up. I want to know the name of your LCS. If you read something that was good that we should prioritize in our stacks, I want to know what that book is. If you picked up a book that is not a new book, but a new to you book, we want to live vicariously through you. So make sure you let us know what that book is that you picked up. I will tell you. Right over there, I have a box that came in from the United States Postal Service. I was very sad that they left it outside of the gate. But I picked it up. There is some sweet goodness in that box. I cannot wait to do the unboxing video a little bit later tonight to show you guys what it is that I recently picked up. It is a doozy, and it does fit quite nicely with the wall behind me. As someone said earlier in the chat, they said they would have to either be rich or stupid to put their awesome comics on the wall with all that light. And I don't think the person really knows what they're talking about. I really don't think that they know what they're talking about, but I thought it was fascinating. Clearly they don't have the books, and so they needn't be concerned about any light exposure. But if you picked up some good stuff, let me know what it is that you guys picked up. Your yurt? What is that? TMX, is good to see you, brother. Thanks for the last. Mark is up in here. Mark says Dark Horse Comics North Bay. I think that is the LCS. Dracula 2, Tenement 6, Eden Frost 1, Harriet Tubman 3, and a bunch of other books, including Daredevil Black Armor, the Holy Roller. I have that somewhere. I have Holy Roller. It's across the road. Holy Roller came in from Skybound. They sent me a stack of those. Batman Off-World #1. Mark, your LCS indeed loves you. Jason says Dracula is pretty good. Scrolling through it is a doozy, Tina. It is a doozy. Shout out to everybody that came out to GarageCon and picked up some stuff. You guys put me in a position to be able to buy that book over there. So thank you guys for coming out. As you guys know, I do stuff and I use the funds from that thing that was done to roll it to the next thing. And that's essentially what was done with Garage. Kind of put me in a place to be able to make some magic happen. Picked up the usual and a new image title. Holy Roller, Blue Collar says he read it and he enjoyed it. That's what's up. The ball on the cover got me, right? And then I flipped through Holy Roller, and it appears to be like the artwork is solid. The artwork appeared to be pretty solid. I did not yet get a chance to read it, but two people now have said that it was good. How you doing, brother? It is good to see you. Jason's up in here scrolling through the comments, seeing what else you guys may have picked up. So let's talk about this one real quick. I think that we have to stop getting wrapped around the axle when rumors start to circulate. I'll tell you, I don't know if Silver Surfer is going to be a chick. I don't know if Silver Surfer is going to be a chick, but I remember, like, it seemed like 2 weeks ago, the thing was going to be Mila Kunis. Just like 2 weeks ago, Mila Kunis was going to be the thing, and people were wrapped around the axle with the possibility that this woman, tiny woman, was going to be the thing. Maybe we should all just relax and actually wait for actual news to be reported by reputable organizations instead of the leak that comes out on a podcast that then gets turned into a news story on multiple websites as if it were a fact. We should just slow down. We should slow down. I had somebody say the other day they weren't going to watch Echo because she didn't have the handprint on her face. And I'm like, well, why would you say that? Well, she didn't have the handprint on her face. I think it's disingenuous or something to that effect. I'm like, the person was like, I didn't see it in the short trailer, didn't see it in the long trailer. I'm like, dude, it's on the actual poster. Maybe we should wait until the show comes out and see whether the handprint is there before saying that this thing is doomed before it is even released. We should just relax. Bronzeville Comics, a bunch of books from Comics Warehouse in Pearl River, New York. Looking forward to reading the new Justice Society. That's what's up. I did not know that there was a new one out. Maybe I will peruse it. Or maybe I'll just wait for one of you to read it and tell me whether it's good or not. What is that? Powers Comics and Collectibles in Green Bay. I'm guessing that's Wisconsin. Got most of my DC books, a few indies, and a facsimile of X-Men 141. That's what's up. Breck Warren, I do not recognize your name. Welcome to the live stream. If you are new, this is your first live stream, let us know in the comment section. The Blue Wrenches will welcome you graciously to the live stream. Kevin says, I picked up Harriet Tubman Demon Slayer Spider-Man in a really nice copy of ASM 16. Shout out to Liberty Comics. Everybody should have an LCS or some. What is that? Reggie said, rich or dumb? Yes, rich in friendships, dumb in to the nonsense. There you go. Well done. Milt's up in the house. Milt picked up Daredevil Black Armor #1. Howard the Duck, the 50th anniversary variant. Milt, if people know you, there is not one single surprise in that statement. Milt, there is not a single surprise there, sir. Howard the Duck is a favorite of Milt's. I was in the part of parties. I'm scrolling through. Let me see. I went to see the documentary of Star Wars Christmas special with the kids. It was fun. There you go. Chuck, it is always good to see you. Scrolling through. Wellbore, how you doing, brother? He's giving a shout out to his LCS. We have issues in Alberta, Canada. Tenement 6 is what he picked up. Scrolling through, no new pickups this week, but I sent out, what is that? Some books to CGS. Congrats on that. Oh, I met you. Hey, brother. I submitted a very pristine Fantastic Four 110. Ooh, that's nice. First appearance of Agatha. Hopefully it'll come back a 9.2. Fingers and toes crossed for you, my man. What is that? Mendoza picked up G.I. Joe #1, the facsimile, both covers. Animal Pounds, is that what this is? Animal Pound 1, New Age Comics, CBCS 9.8. That's what's up. I'm scrolling through some of the comments here. Steve, how you doing, brother? Picked up Holy Roller, Wonder Woman, Tenement, Hulk, Carnage, and there you go. My favorite, Void Rivals. You can't. That's a good read. That's a good read. Why can't we have some Silver Surfer as a meal, and then they bring in the golden chick that's also a hero? See, that's the other thing right there. So it's a rumor. it's a rumor that Silver Surfer is going to be a woman. We don't know whether it's actually Silver Surfer that is being gender changed, or whether the Herald of Galactus will actually just be a woman, not necessarily Silver Surfer, but the Herald of Galactus. And there have been several Heralds of Galactus that are women, right? Frankie Reyes is one, and um Aunt May was a Herald of Galactus as well. Little known fact, I did a whole series. I think I did 2 or 3 videos looking at the various Heralds of Galactus, and there are many. So is it a rumor that is going to be true, proven untrue, just like Mila Kunis was going to be the thing like not that long ago? Or is it going to be another Herald of Galactus, right, that will be introduced in Fantastic Four, or are they going to do a gender swap? I think, again, at the moment, it is nothing more than one person that is stating this. And you have to ask yourself, how many times have rumors been proven to be untrue? So before we get wrapped around the axle and outraged, maybe we should just relax and wait for something new to come out, or some actual details. Scrolling through, Reggie, I'm looking for an emoji that has its hair on fire running around to respond to this. Brother, there should absolutely be an emoji to that sort, because I just feel like there's so much outrage, and then there's so many people that fan that outrage, that it's like it's impressive. It really is impressive that somebody, and I'm not saying this person specifically, but you can make something up and people will just believe it right from the rip, and then just start repeating it time and time again. And it's just like, let's just slow down. Let's pump the brakes. Let's bit. Austin says, is it true that Lou Ferrigno is bulking up again to play the Hercules role for Marvel? Scrolling through, there we go. Breck is on the board. First live stream and a long time liker and watcher of videos. Breck, we welcome you. We welcome you. Howard the Duck is coming out next week with a new series. Milt is about to buy all of the variants of that one, no doubt about it. Joe, it is good to see you. Aunt May was gold. There you go. There you go. There you go. It was a Twinkie advertisement. Well, technically, wasn't it an issue? It was an issue, I think, right? Where she was for a few panels, the Herald of Galactus. I think it was like the Mailman, or there was like a tie-in to the Mailman or something like that. It's been a while. It's been a while since I looked at that issue. Aunt May confirmed the Golden Server. There you go, man. Let's just start the rumor and see how far it goes. New to streaming, I'm in the market for a Stan Lee. All right, let me see. Scrolling through some of the comments here. Marvel is not doomed yet, Reggie. Surely with there you go. It's Dr. Yeah, I think, you know, I think, again, we just have to pump our brakes and just wait for this stuff to reveal itself. So huge shout out to Chuck. My man Chuck hooked me up. Is that the right time? Chuck hooked me up. He knows how much I love foreign language comics. So he hooked me up with Starfleet Academy, a nice run of it. And it's in Klingon. And I'm very appreciative of Chuck, because I do love some Klingon. I do love some Star Trek, and I do love foreign language. It actually, gave me the English version of it as well. What does it say? Buy this book or I'll come to your house. And that, you do not want to mess with that Klingon woman. They are tough. Shout out to Chuck for hooking me up. Patreon members will have a chance to win this book right here. CBCS 9.6 Isolation issue number 2. This is the exclusive foil cover. This is the giveaway for next month's Patreon. So sign up if you haven't already done so before the end of the month, and you could be the lucky winner of that 9.6 right there. Scrolling through some of the comments, Doug is up in here. It's good to see you, brother. That Star Trek is awesome, says Milt. Scrolling through, scrolling through Lou Ferrigno. Let me see. It was an issue of Marvel Team Up. There you go. Assistant Editors Month. There you go. You guys remember some of this stuff a lot better than I think, again, I did like 3 videos. I think it was like 3 videos on the various Heralds of Galactus, some of which lasted for just a few panels, like Aunt May, and others went on for an extended period of time. But it'll, at the end of the day, I'll just be completely honest. I don't care I don't care. Like, I think that Silver Surfer should be a dude, right? Just being honest about it. I think it should be a dude. At the end of the day, I need Marvel and DC and whomever else to make smart decisions. Make smart decisions, tell good stories. If you do those things, everything else will work itself out. Like, don't do the pandering thing. Uh that just doesn't work, right? Make good decisions, tell good stories. People will show up. That's basically my message, right? Scrolling through, let me see. I'm still patiently waiting for no. I don't know. I don't know if that's gonna happen, man. I don't know. I've gone on the record with this one for a little bit, saying that I think it's gonna be some time before we see that. Let me see. What is that? Funny. There you go. All right. So let me give you guys a quick rundown. So I do a couple of videos in which I actually get some data from the folks over at Shortbox. And they give me this data. I then turn some of that data into videos. And I think it was yesterday that I released a video, and it was focused on the most in-demand comics. I think that was the one. And I basically looked at what it was that people were searching for on the Shortbox app. And that to me is a sign of like demand and interest. So we did a video on that. And I think if you watch that video and comment on that video, you can have a chance to win a $100 credit over at Shortbox. But another piece of data that I get from them that I don't always turn into a video is the roll up of the most popular characters. So essentially what they do is they look at all the transactions that take place on the Shortbox app, and they roll those transactions up to specific characters or teams. And so it's another way of figuring out, well, what is it that people are buying? Because potentially the issue isn't the most in demand, but there are multiple issues that people are buying up for of a particular character that may allow them to bubble to the surface a little bit differently. So that isn't necessarily the case here, but no, it is. It is. There's a couple of things that jump out at me that are a little bit different from what people are searching for and what people are buying, because those are two of the data that I turn into videos: searches and purchases. This is the top 10 most in-demand characters when you roll it up to that primary character or team. Number 10, Hulk. Hulk is in the 10th spot. Number 9, Spawn. No surprise there, because he is also one of the most sold and one of the most searched. Fantastic Four. That does not necessarily always show up, but it is with 48 and 49 for the most searched. Venom shows up because of Venom Lethal Protector. Avengers, that is not a team that shows up all that often, but people are buying when they do the roll up. So Avengers is in the 6th spot of the most in demand, most purchased characters / teams. Number 5, Wolverine. Number 4, Star Wars. And I think a lot of that is probably the more modern Star Wars books. Number 3, Batman, which is a little bit of a surprise. I think that's the only DC character on the list. Number 2 is X-Men, right? No big surprise there. And number 1, my personal favorite, Spider-Man. So the most purchased characters in the month of October on the Shortbox list. Again, number 1, Spider-Man. Number 2, X-Men. Number 3, Batman. Number 4, Star Wars. That is the top 4 right there. Well done. Well done. Chuck, I don't know that Howard the Duck is going to show up on the list, brother. I'm just being honest. I don't know that Howard is going to bubble to the surface. Smurfette, you guys are hilarious. All right. So that was the rundown of that. And again, one of the videos that was released recently, I think it was yesterday's video, I do believe, was a Shortbox sponsored video. Watch the video for a chance to win a $100 credit from Shortbox. I will be announcing the winner of that next week. Next Wednesday, we're going to do a live show, and we'll do that. Some people have been asking me to do dedicated videos on DC, right? So I basically ran down, for example, the top 10 most purchased comics And then I did the most in demand top 10. People like, hey, can you do a dedicated list for DC? The challenge there is that if DC characters are not showing up in the most demand, the most purchased, and then also the top 10 characters, then I don't know how much interest there would be in doing a dedicated video on DC. And I know there are some people that are not happy that I just said that, and I can probably name off at least 3 or 4 of them. But it's true, right? To do a dedicated video on DC specifically when it's not bubbling to the surface, I don't know how much interest that is. There will be in that, but maybe if there's like a ton of comments on the video to that point, then not in the chat, to it on the video, maybe we will revisit that. All right. Let me see what you guys are talking about. Well done. All right. So one topic that I wanted to also flag for you guys. This is a video that I think was posted up on Monday. If you guys haven't watched this one, check this one out. Invest in your comic collection. A lot of folks are not necessarily going out buying big comics, but in this ongoing series where I partner up with comicpriceguide.com, what I attempt to do is to highlight books that people may already have in their collection. And I basically highlight that if you have it, you may want to send that book in to be graded. And so it's a great video where if you have a book, you spend a couple of bucks, you send it in, you get it clean, pressed, and graded, and you can recognize some additional value for just spending a couple of bucks on a book that you already own. So if you haven't watched that video, check it out. It was just released. I think it's a pretty good video. What is this? Austin says, Reggie, have you heard about this interview with Lou Ferrigno, where I guess he gave it about him doing something big with Marvel, perhaps? Yeah. I don't know. I have not seen it. I just took on a new job, and just being honest, I've been super busy with that. What I would say to you is that I don't know whether that's true or not, right? We have seen repeatedly where people will dangle things out there in the universe in an attempt to get someone's attention and to get them to come knocking on their door. We have seen things get leaked out. We have seen people make jokes about stuff that they want to do when there's really no actual plan for that. I don't know what the future holds with Lou Ferrigno, to be honest with you. There are so many rumors that circulate. Until I see it in a reputable news outlet, I take everything with a grain of salt. So I know that Lou Ferrigno is not like the easiest person to work with. So I don't know if people want to go working with him, just because like he's from everything I've heard, he is not a good person to work with. So you never know. You never know what could happen. So Doug is on the board, says, I would love to see Lou do a Stan Lee cameo. That would be fun. I mean, he may be asking for millions of dollars. I mean, I think he doesn't like people taking photos of him unless they pay for the photo. So I actually saw him once at a con, and I just kept it moving. I kept it moving because again, I just don't get the feeling that he is a very welcoming person from everything that I've heard about him for years and years. And it doesn't matter whether it was bodybuilding or comic books. He seems to have this line in the sand that he tends to draw around himself. And that's the thing right there. You cannot trust the fan sites. You cannot, because they make up a lot of stuff. And it's like they take a kernel of truth and they spin it into this big yarn where you're like, oh, because this kernel was true, then this must be true. I take it with a grain of salt. I really do. There you go. And it could be true. It could be true. You just do not know. And again, look at Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift was supposed to be Dazzler in 2016. She still hasn't played Dazzler, and they're still dangling that exact same carrot, and people are buying up Dazzler's first and second appearance. Who knows whether Taylor Swift would, I mean, she's what, 30, 33, 34? So who knows if it's ever going to happen? Like, there were photos with her with the cast of X-Men. That's how hard they were dangling this thing at one point. sometimes we also know that directors will put stuff out there. They will shoot specific footage to mislead people that happen to be on set, or the people that are on set tell somebody else. There is all kinds of stuff that is happening. Do not believe everything that you hear, because there could be a whole lot of nonsense out there. Speaking of nonsense, another hater has some another. It seems like the best way to get your name out there is to hate on superhero movies. As soon as you start hating on superhero movies, everybody, including me, starts to talk about you. It seems to be the big thing. I may go on strike. I may go on strike now at this point, because so many people have said it. I may go on strike where I don't talk about them anymore, because it just seems like the people that are interviewing folks are like, I've got to get somebody to pay attention to my article. So I'm going to ask them about superhero movies, knowing that they're going to say something negative, knowing that I can now create a headline around that very thing. John Woo gives his take on superhero films. I prefer Martin Scorsese films. Do you think it was an accident that he was asked that question, or that he answered with Martin Scorsese, given how much Martin Scorsese is in the news? This is Deadline, credible source, but they want people to view so that we can come here and see the target deals that are on the page, right? So fanning the outrage, farming the outrage is what a lot of folks do. And I guess I'm guilty of it as well to some degree, because I'm literally doing it right now. But John Woo, who is 77 years old, and I think is going to be releasing a movie, surprise, surprise, back in the news, siding with Martin Scorsese. Let's dig into it. John Woo is giving his take on superhero movies. No, he's not. He wanted to talk about his own movie. The hook is this, and making it clear he's not in favor of the films coming out of Marvel and DC Studios. In a new interview, Woo was asked to weigh in on recent movies he's liked, and is asked for his thoughts on comic book-based films. He says, I've never liked watching movies with big special effects or anything based on comic books. I prefer Martin Scorsese movies. That is not a name that just magically popped into his mind. That kind of cinema, also using a Martin Scorsese term, cinema. I can't wait to watch Killers of the Flower Moon. He told this to the New Yorker. So this was a New Yorker article that came out about, I think, again, John Woo returning to directing, coming out with a movie. He says, I like old-fashioned films, real cinema. There aren't many movies like that lately, he says. So then you scroll down here, and he says, check this out. Of the recent action movies that Woo has liked, he mentioned a movie from David Mackenzie, Hail or High Water, citing good performances and good action. Now, what's fascinating is he was asked about recent movies that he likes. This movie right here, Hail or High Water, actually came out in 2016. So basically, he's saying there has not been any movies out for a very long time that he has had any interest in outside of this one that he specifically named, Hail or High Water. Goes on to talk about how he loved it so much that he tried to hire the director of photography for his movie, Silent Nights. Couldn't get the guy, but the movie dropped in 2016. The movie made, what are you waiting for? Hail or High Water made $37 million. That's it. $37 million. The upside is that it cost $12 million to make, so they may have actually made some money, depending upon whether you do the short math or the long math, going back to a recent topic. But the movie grossed $37 million and was made in 2016. That's the most recent movie that he cited. I also found it fascinating that he spoke about the fact that he wanted to see Killers of the Flower Moon, which is Martin Scorsese's recent movie. This interview with John Woo, I do believe, took place just recently. I think it was like just recently that this interview took place. Actually, it was November 19th. His interview was on November 19th with the New Yorker, talking about, I can't wait to see Martin Scorsese's movie. Martin Scorsese's movie dropped on October 20th. What is John Woo waiting for? Is he so excited about the movie? You would imagine that he would have been there to see the movie, given that it's been out for so long. Or is it that he really has no interest in seeing that movie and he's using Martin Scorsese and superhero films and his dislike of them to get himself in the news with the New Yorker and now with Deadline and also with me, not that I'm on that same level, but to get people talking about him? Again, I find it kind of fascinating that everybody wants to come out talking about superhero. Everybody knows that superhero movies right now generally are not in a good place. So it's an easy thing for people to jump on because everybody is jumping on it. But again, John Woo is now in the news as a result. I'm just saying the movie was boring. So here, I also pulled up some additional data because I think, and I made this point in another video. There is more going on with movies than the fact of who's leading in that movie. There is more going on. And in the previous video, I talked about how movie theater ticket sales were down. Like, theaters have not recovered from the pandemic. And I believe that to be true. The data are what the data are. But people are talking about Killers of the Flower Moon is this great movie, right? It's real cinema. When you dig into the data, this movie again dropped, I think it was October 20th. The movie on opening weekend made $23 million. Made $23 million. And overall, worldwide, it has made less than $150 million. The movie cost, I do believe, $250 million to make. And then X amount, you can figure out what that X is to market the movie. It has not recovered its cost. This movie has not yet broken even. And so if it's a good movie, if it's real cinema, it's not necessarily performing the way that I think Martin Scorsese and John Woo would like. Now, I wanted to contrast that to the Marvels, right? The Marvels also maybe not in the best place, right? The Marvels, this movie came out, its opening weekend, it made $46 million. It made double what real cinema actually made. It made $46 million, and it just came out November 10th. It has made more money than Martin Scorsese's movie. $164 million is what it's made globally. It too has not broken even. I think this movie, I can't remember if it was 200 million or 250 million, but it has not broken even yet, but it's been out 12 days. It's been out roughly 12 days. So we will see whether it will continue to make up ground. Who knows? But I contrasted it to another movie. This movie here, which I had never heard of, Five Nights at Freddy, which I've heard is doing well. I heard it was doing well in the box office, and then I checked the data, and it appears to be doing well. This movie dropped October 27th, so after Killers, but before Marvels. It made $80 million in its opening weekend and has grossed $273 million worldwide. This movie is doing pretty well, but I mean, it's not a $1 billion movie either. So doing relatively well versus the other movies that I just mentioned, but certainly not killing it. And again, I feel like there's a lot more at play here besides who happens to be starring in the movie. The way that a lot of people would have you believe that because it's a woman, that's the reason why the movies are failing. I think it's a little more complicated than that. The Hunger Games. I forgot to pull the Hunger Games up. Hunger Games. I don't think Hunger Games is doing all that well either. I think that somebody sent me, I think it was Dave, sent me an article about China. China appears to be striking against US-based movies, but I don't think the Hunger Games is doing all that well either. Again, I think that there is more at play. So they will say it is superhero fatigue. Maybe they will say it's franchise fatigue. Maybe there are multiple factors at play. Again, they will say that it's the fact that it's a woman that's in the lead. I think there's multiple reasons why movies right now are not doing well. And I think it's a multifactorial. What is it? I watched Voyage to the Prehistoric Planet this weekend, 1950. It was bad. What is that? 5 nights. What is it? 5 Nights at Freddy's equals cinema, says Pretty Fly. Let me see. I'm scrolling through some of the comments here. It was also the results of yeah. But if you believe the rumors, Robert Downey Jr. is coming back. If you believe the rumors, Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans are both coming back. That's the rumor. I don't know whether it's true or not. Jessica says she is excited to see Five Nights. So there you go. Seth Killers, A Flower Moon is one of several nonfiction books that, there you go. Scrolling through the comments here. What? I don't think it's just that, because, and I started to do a video on this. People say the writing is horrible. The writing is trash. A writer, and I spoke to Pretty Fly about this about 2 weeks ago. A writer has never greenlit a TV show or a movie ever. A writer has no ability to do that, right? So it's not just the writing that needs to be improved. It is the writing, it is the special effects, it is the production, it is the directing, it is the decisions that are being made by the executives as to what moves forward and what doesn't. It all needs to improve. It's not just the writing. I was watching Matt Walsh. I was watching Matt Walsh the other day, and he made a point that I was like, you're no, stop talking about super. He made the point that with writing and with movies right now, and he was specifically talking about superhero movies, but I'm going to expand it. Is there the affinity to tell a really good story by the people that are involved in creating the movie or the TV show? Is it just an assignment that they're getting, or is it a labor of love? And you all know the difference, right? As comic book fans, if you are organizing, bagging, and boarding your comics, that is a labor of love. You might hate it, but you still do it because it's a necessary evil, and you do it because it is better for your collection. Are they just doing an assignment where I have to turn in a certain number of pages, I have to get through a certain number of edits, I have to do a certain number of special effects in my section? Or is it a labor of love? Because there is a difference. And potentially you have a lot of people that are not necessarily in love with what they are creating, and that is being reflected on the screen. And when people show up, there's no energy, there's no passion. And people are like, this is just bland. There's no there, right? And that could be part of it. People are fatigued with showing up and being disappointed by what they see on the screen. People are skipping going to the theater because of high ticket prices. They rather sit at home and stream it on the comforts of their couch. The economy is in a place where people are like, I don't know whether I'm going to have a job. I don't know what the future holds. Maybe there's going to be a war. Maybe I should hold. It's multifactorial as to why movies are maybe underperforming. And it's not just Marvel movies. It's not just DC movies. It appears to be a lot of movies out there that are not necessarily doing as well. So I was an entertainment writer for 12 years. The first completed draft is always great. The 13th draft never is. Well said, TMX. Well said. Because the other part of it is how, and people seem to want to blame a writer. There's typically a team of writers and many drafts. And I think DC or Marvel has even gone on record to say that even after it's written and filmed, in post-production, they are still tweaking the show or the movie, which is why they have so many reshoots after the fact, because they didn't fine-tune things up front. They try to do it on the back end, which is why you might get a choppy story that is not even the vision of the first writer, much less the last writer, because it's in post-production that they are making these changes. They were sending TV shows from greenlit to a finished product without ever looking at the footage. Like, that's a huge mistake. That is and again, that is not the writer's problem or the director's problem. That is the executive's problem of making a decision to green light an entire show, spending $100 million or whatever it is, and never doing a pilot. Never taking the time to first look at the script. Is this good or bad? Is there something here there? Should we refine it? Should we massage it, right? greenlit it all the way to the end. That's why they filmed half of Daredevil Reborn and were like, oh, this is trash. We need to scrap it. Right. I don't know. Let me see. It's not Swaggle House said it's not the creators that are messing up the movies. It's the suits. They base decisions on stats and polls. That info surprised me, but it makes sense. Brother, you should not be surprised by it at all. It is what it is. And that's why potentially it's not just, come on, man. Come on. I just laid out a whole argument for why things aren't going right. And you say that it. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. What is that? I enjoy cataloging my collection. Some find it a chore. It's a labor of love, right? If you are really in love with something, you will lose yourself in that activity. If you are just showing up and doing a job, you show up, you do what's required, you roll out. That's potentially how some writers and some directors and some of the production people, right? There are a lot of problems in the system that need to be addressed. So, scrolling through some of the comments here, Barbie did better than expected. The Flash worse than expected. Yeah, well, I don't think anybody saw Barbie coming, but they will say that Barbie was woke stuff. I heard a feminazi. That was the new term that I heard. Feminazi and the emasculation of men. There are no genitalia on Barbie. If I allow a movie or a TV show to emasculate me, like, gotta ask yourself a couple of questions. Scrolling through some of the comments here, seeing what you guys are talking about. You guys are on fire. Somebody cited the fact that, well, no, let me not go there. But what is that? Reggie, they were going to have Blade flanked by 3 women. So first of all, have you seen the script? Have you seen the script? Or are you basing what you're saying on the rumors of what you have heard? Because the rumors that the show, Blade Show, was going to be focused on women, one of the writers said that is untrue. One of the writers that actually wrote the script said he wrote the first draft. That was not the case. He's read other drafts. That was not the case. Now, maybe it changed, but again, we are jumping to conclusions based upon rumors. Zero actual facts. Zero actual facts. Go back and watch I watched some of the original X-Men movies just recently, right? Jean Grey saved the X-Men. So is that woke? Or is that just like part of the comic, right? The things that we are labeling as being woke, is it really woke or is it just part of the comic? Women save men, men save women. It's a team and they work together in a complementary manner. But go back and watch one of the X-Men movies, the one with Apocalypse. Is that woke as well? I don't know. I was like, oh, Jean Grey, super dope, super powerful. Yeah, that's pretty much in line with the comic. But if it were to come out now, it would be woke. I am fearful of the X-Men even coming out because of what the X-Men represent. If you think about what the X-Men actually are coming out in this day and age, wokeness. It will be wokeness. That's exactly what it will be. Scrolling through some of the comments. I don't even know. Did I intend to get on this? I don't know. I don't know if I intended to get on this topic, but here we are. Back in the day, studios would take risks. The Matrix would have been greenlit today. Scrolling through, let me see. They don't follow up with projects like scrolling through. I think that the writers don't write their best stuff for big publishers because they won't own it. That when it comes to comics, I think you are spot on about that. They show up and they do a job. That's it. So the publishers, when it comes to comics, I don't know if the publishers want to take real risk, right? They will pander, no doubt about that. They will pander. But the creators aren't going to give their best to Marvel or DC because they won't own the creation. which is why during the pandemic you saw them going to Substack, you saw them doing their own thing outside of the big two, because they recognize that their creativity has value and they want to leverage it. And I kind of sort of respect it. So the question is, would Marvel and DC do things different in order to get the best out of the writers, like a Jack Kirby, right? No, they probably won't. They probably won't. I don't necessarily see that happening, and it's unfortunate. But let's say that they were to take a risk. If they were to take a risk, how well would that be received in this day and age? How well would that risk? Have you guys read the new Punisher? I read the new Punisher because I wanted to read it, but I read it also because someone said that it was trash. I read it and I was like, this is actually a decent comic. Just like the last Punisher run, I thought was a good comic, but they called that trash as well. If Marvel and DC were to actually take a chance and do something different, would people actually show up for it? Would people actually give it a chance? Or would they call it trash before they even fully saw it? Would they call it trash without ever having read it? I think that they would. I think that they would. Scrolling through the comments here. That's why Black Adam failed. Dwayne loved the character. I so I think Black Adam was okay. Like, I wasn't blown away by it, but I think it was an okay movie. I don't think that Dwayne The Rock Johnson was completely on the level with how he was handling things behind the scenes. And I've spoken about this before. I think he was being a little shady with pushing Henry Cavill in there into the movie behind the backs of the leadership at the time. He was trying to seize control of his future at DC, and he got caught with his pants down and was booted. But Black Adam as a movie was not terrible. It was not a terrible movie. I watched Blue Beetle recently. I like some of the action stuff later in the movie. The first part of the movie, I was on the struggle bus with that one. The Flash, I might need to rewatch that one again. But again, not a terrible movie. That wasn't a terrible movie either. But the challenge again is these movies are failing before they even come out. Before anyone has ever actually seen the movie, it's all trash. It's all woke nonsense. It's all this, that, or the other. What happened to just waiting, seeing it with your own eyes, and then making an informed decision? Like, that's gone by the wayside. That's gone by the wayside, right? Scrolling through, scrolling. I'm way behind. The X-Men were scrolling through the Phoenix Saga was a well-known. Yeah, the Phoenix Saga was well-known, no doubt about it. But you have these people that are arguing for this, that, and the other without any real understanding that these things have actually happened in the comics before. Right? They say that it's woke that Hawkeye is passing the mantle to his daughter. No, it happened in the comics. I mean, like, these things that people are running around saying is all woke nonsense actually happened in the comics. I had a guy tell me that, and I can't remember the details of it because it was several weeks ago. He cited multiple things that were happening in the movies. And I'm like, dude, did you ever bother to read a comic? Because what you're citing as wokeness literally happened in the comics 10, 15, 20 years ago. And all that the movie is doing is reflecting the source material. That's all that it's doing. But in this environment, everything is woke trash. Everything is woke trash. Scrolling, there you go. I mean, that's the thing, man. Everybody's in a rush to be outraged and to be the most outraged and to be the first to say that this is trash and to say it louder than everybody else. And it's like you have no evidence that what you are saying is even true. It is fascinating. It is fascinating. Scrolling through yeah. I think somebody calls them snowflakes or something like that. It's just it's tough, man. It really is. It really is tough. And it seems to be getting worse. Like maybe that's my perception because I read so many comments every day. It seems to be getting like worse. You know, I think about Gen V, right? And I have people, why do you call it Gen V? Because Compound V, Gen V, they're like they want it to be 5. I guess that's what they want it to be. But that show is purposefully pushing buttons, making people on the left and the right angry. Like that is the whole purpose of the show. And it's fascinating to watch both sides say the opposite of one another. And it's just it's hilarious. It really is hilarious. And it's everybody is outraged. Everybody is mad. And you read these comments and I'm like, you picked out this one scene that you didn't like. But what did you think about the whole thing? Oh, I loved it. So you loved it, but your entire comment is focused on the one thing that you didn't like with no context for the fact that you liked like 99% of it. The rush to be negative is impressive. It really is impressive. You read certain comments and it's hard, you're hard pressed to figure out what people actually enjoy. What do you actually like? What do you love? What makes you happy? Focus on that stuff instead of the small amount of stuff that you don't like. Like it would be amazing if everybody for just a day said nothing but positive stuff. It would be amazing what impact that would have. Uh let me see. What is this? Mark says, "Are you aware where the MCU came from? Supposedly there was a memo from a high-ranking female that said it was her mission. This came out over a year ago. It was in some article. Who is the woman? Where is the article?" If you're, I think I know who you're talking about. The same woman that says she wanted to remove the men from X-Men. I think that's potentially the woman. I think she got fired. But again, it's some woman, some article over a year ago that no one has read. Literally the stuff that I'm talking about. Scrolling through, yeah. What is that? The rumor I heard is that they regulated Blade to a side character, be it women or men, doesn't matter. Woke is the way they approach the storyline, not that it's only women. Scrolling through. What was it, Doug? Didn't somebody say that? Didn't somebody say that? What is the show? The movie, the comic that you like? They said that was woke. The one that was on Netflix, it's escaping me at the moment. This is what happens when I'm just so off script that I blank out on certain things. But guys complained about woke, doesn't know what it means, says Jessica. Mark loves DC, no doubt about it. There you go. The new Punisher is actually not bad. The new Punisher, he's not even calling himself Punisher. That's what was cool about it. He's not even calling himself Punisher. I think that this new Punisher, Jay Garrison, is actually a decent read. And it is very much in the tradition of Frank Castle as a Punisher, i.e., vigilanteism because of, certain things that happen. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it as a read. So if you guys haven't checked that one out, you may want to check that one out. That's bold. Black Adam was a 6 and 10. The Flash was a 7 out of 10. That's bold. I don't know. Maybe I need to watch Flash again. It wasn't terrible, but a lot of people hated that movie because of the actor, which I get. I kind of respect that. He did some despicable stuff, no doubt about that one. Scrolling through some of the comments here. I am so far behind. The nuttiness on the net just makes decisions without knowing anything about the movie. Naysayers are already telling readers to boycott Aquaman 2 because it's not part of. Yeah. Would you actually want to release a movie or a comic in this current environment? Like, ask yourself, as a person, why would you subject your creation to this current environment? Right? If you had the best idea ever, right? Would you even put it out in the current environment? It doesn't seem like the current environment likes anything. You know what I'm saying? People focus again on all the horrible stuff. And it's like you say every movie coming out of Hollywood and every TV show coming out of Hollywood is woke. That's first of all, that's not true because there's like 700 movies that come out of Hollywood every single year. I don't think that the vast majority of them are woke. But even if a ton of them were, why are you focused on the things that you don't like versus the things that you actually like and enjoy? Life is way too short to focus on all the negative. Focus on the good stuff, man. Focus on the stuff that makes you happy, that brings you joy. Um, oh man, that's deep right there. I don't even want to release my kids into this crazy world. Well said, brother. Well said. Um, I have a feeling that potentially every generation feels that way. I remember my grandmother and great grandmother being very concerned about the state of the world as I was growing up. I feel like every generation feels like things are getting worse and worse. And is it worse now or was it worse back then? Because a lot of the things that we see now were happening back then. They just may not have, popped onto your phone at the click of a button or the flip of a finger, but they were still happening out there, right? A lot of people pretend like a lot of this stuff is new. I don't think, and I'm not saying you, Pretty Fly. A lot of people are saying that the stuff that's happening now is new. It's not new. It's always been there. This stuff has been there. This isn't new, but it finds you now versus you having to find it. I think that that's one of the big differences. Don't go to I don't. Mm. Well, you are in California, so Canada's not that far off. I would not go to Canada. I would not do that. We need more. I tell people all the time, my goal is to turn, my children into happy, productive citizens. Like that's the goal. And I want to protect them from the world as long as I can, but I don't want to turn them loose into a world in a naive state because naive people are taken advantage of. And so you need to find that balance. And I don't know where it is yet, but you have to find that balance of exposing them to some of the horrors of this world and sheltering them from the horrors of this world. My boy is making really interesting observations about my wife and I, right? Because my wife is white and I'm black, and he's making these really interesting observations. And it's fascinating to watch his mind kind of work. And it's been this thing of how do we introduce these concepts to him of how the world is going to receive him. And so I don't know that we have all the answers, but we are trying to feel our way through this as best we can to try to deliver good people into the world because the world needs more good people, right? More people with actual common sense, more people that will actually say, show me the data, show me the evidence, prove what you are saying, because I'm not just going to believe it because you are telling me this thing and you don't have all the facts. Push back, challenge it. There you go. There you go. And I mean, my approach, buy both, and then watch people fight over it, right? Because you can always tell typically what somebody owns when they're like, it's 180. Is that because you own 180, sir? Probably because you do. Own both, and then you just sit back and watch it. Well said, brother. Well said, Frog. Frog Brawler. Scrolling through. There you go, Steve White. There you go. There you go. Scrolling people. What is that? For some reason, it's their job and duty to confront what's negative, says David. You can go back through history and hear the same rhetoric. The older generation trying to protect the newer generation. The chapters have changed, but it's still the same book. Well said. Well said, brother. Well said. I think that you are definitely Austin says fans today act like Democrats versus Republicans or Crips and Bloods. Well said. Well said. Let them fight it out. I think that, somebody said that the other day. They said if you allow people to just have fisticuffs, then you would probably solve a lot of stuff, right? Have a disagreement, go fight it out, and then move on. Because that's what they did back in the day. Somebody got a bloody nose, and then they just move on, right? Like fight it out like men and be done with it. This it's fascinating. Scrolling through, I agree life is too short, so I pick and choose what I want to spend time on, that it doesn't include new Marvel content. I have over 50,000 vintage comics, no need for the newer stuff. Hey, brother, you will get no argument from me. You will get no argument from me. Find what makes you happy and do that thing. And you're not doing this, but don't look down upon those that choose to do something different. And I don't think that you are, right? Have your bubble, be comfortable in that bubble, and just enjoy it for what it is. And there's nothing wrong with that. There is nothing. The problem is people are like, I only love raw comics. So if you like slab, you're dirty. Says whom? Says whom? And people say, I can't read the comic. I can't. Well, some of these books, I am not casually thumbing through any of these books. It's not going to happen. I'm not going to casually just thumb through it. So you're making it seem like, well, I'm not a real collector because I don't have my books raw so that I can casually read them. First of all, if I read it, I don't need to keep reading it because I have the mental capacity to actually remember the story. And if a book is worth real money, I'm not casually flipping through it. I would read it digitally. I would read a facsimile. I would read it lots of different ways. But to look down upon someone because they do something different, you might as well just open the window and just yell at everybody and tell them to get off your lawn, because that's essentially what you're doing. Allow people to enjoy what they enjoy while you enjoy what you enjoy. And potentially over time, the cover hunter might actually read a comic if you are receptive to them. Potentially, the person that isn't even interested in comics at all but watches the movies might actually come into the comic book community and start reading comics if you are receptive to them. Yeah. All right. Scrolling through. Scrolling through. In the Wild West, they just shot you. Problem solved. I watch a lot of Taylor Sheridan. I've been watching Bass Reeves as of late. The Wild West, they just shoot you. Problem solved. Everybody go about your business. That. Scrolling through. Man, it's the thing about it is that sometimes when people say this stuff, the goal is to be like, look, here's the actual facts. Look at the facts and then make up your mind what you believe to be true, right? People hear the rumor, they hear a snippet, they read a headline, and they think that they know everything. Well, dig a little bit deeper than just a headline, right? Be open-minded enough to the fact that you could be wrong. Be open-minded enough to the reality that maybe you don't have all the facts. And I'm still learning this lesson about humility. Being humble goes a long way. I told you guys this story before, and I just told it yesterday to a guy that was here at the house. One of the best pieces of advice that I received about marriage was from my father-in-law, who said, just say, honey, you could be right, because it gives you the freedom to be right or to be wrong. You're not telling her that she's wrong. You're giving yourself the space to figure it out. You're not automatically dismissing what she says because she might be right. And if you continue to dismiss what she says, then she's not going to continue to offer up her opinions and perspective because you keep shutting it down. So, honey, you could be right. Take off the honey. You could be right allows freedom and flexibility. But when you come out and you're like, this is wrong, this is woke, this is that, this is trash, you're creating no space for you to take in additional information to evolve and to change your opinions, right? that's part of the challenge. Everything is the worst that it's ever been. Well, that's not exactly true. It's not exactly true. It's going to get way worse. But giving yourself a little bit of space, what is that? My money is on the older generation. Hey, I'm gonna be honest with you. My money is on the older generation as well. Back when men used to be men and know how to take a punch, right? I am with the older generation. I will put my money down. I will line up with the older generation because there was a mental toughness and intestinal fortitude, at least in my opinion, with the older generation. It doesn't matter whether you're talking men or women. A lot of people now, man, you're triggered by a TV show. You are triggered by a TV show. Seriously? Like, you get triggered. I got into a fight once. This guy was saying something that I didn't like to my younger brother, made my younger brother cry. So I smacked him. I was on the bus, smacked the guy, and defending my brother, right? His brother shows up the next day. His brother's bigger than me. His brother sees me, punches me in my nose. And I didn't cry, but it hurt. Problem solved. Problem was solved. That it was over. It was done, right? His mother sent his brother to solve the problem between us. Now we have no problems, right? Everybody has been defended, and it is what it is. We move on, right? I remember to this day, the dude found me. He said, "Hey, can we talk?" We walk over, boom, right in my nose. He walks away. That was it. One smack, one punch, we're done. There is potentially something to be said for the older stuff. Scrolling through. All right, I think I'm all. No, I'm not even close to being caught up. I know of one brother pushes another brother down a flight of stairs. What is that? My grandmother's tougher than anyone I know today. Hey, something to be said for the older. I consider myself fortunate to have been raised by my grandmother and great grandmother. There was a certain toughness that came with those women, and of course my great grandfather, certain toughness that came with him. I never saw the man in anything other than slacks and coveralls. Those are the only two things he wore, and he always had on a dress shirt regardless of what he was wearing. There was a certain amount of toughness, of formality with them that I respect. I to this day don't even curse around my mother because of respect for my mother. There are people that will curse at their mother now. I don't understand that. My mother's never heard me utter a curse word because I have that much respect for my mother. And my hope is that my children will have that same level of respect for me. That is my hope. But it's like, I don't know. I don't even know how we got on this. I blame, who is that? Callie, I blame you for this. I don't know. A TV show cannot represent Black people the same way that I can't speak for all Black people, the same way that I don't know. Like, I don't know if you want to ask me, in my opinion, was it a good show? Yes. Do I historically buy comics that depict Black people in them? No, because I think it's like Blaxploitation, right? I use proper English. Some of the old comics don't use proper English. Therefore, that comic does not represent me as an individual, right? I remember being drilled on the correct pronunciation of ask and breakfast, because that's how we were raised. Broken English is not necessarily how we were raised. So when I read a comic with broken English, no, that doesn't represent me, but that's my perspective. I can't speak for other people. I can't speak for other people. Did I enjoy Luke Cage? I did. Are there parts that I didn't like? Yeah. Just like every other movie and every other TV show, there are things that I like and things that I don't, but that's my personal perspective. Not to infringe upon anyone else. Again, I don't know how the heck we got on this. We are way over time. I don't know. We're gonna wrap this up. So what else do I have to talk about? I think that's pretty much it. Yeah, that's it. I'm gonna wrap this up. I want to thank you guys for hanging out with me. No agenda, no attenda. I think was on fire. Maybe some people enjoyed it. Who the heck knows? But I want to thank you guys for hanging out with me. If you did enjoy me doing whatever just happened over the last 1 hour and 10 minutes, I definitely want to encourage you to give the video a thumbs up. If you haven't yet subscribed to the channel, I want to encourage you to go ahead and do that now. If you have a friend out there in the world of comics and collectibles that hasn't yet subscribed to this channel, but you enjoy it, I want to encourage you to extend an invitation to them. Get them over here. Let's surround ourselves with more people that have a common sense approach to life. How about that? If you want to reach out to me, feel free to do so on Instagram at Regie Collects. Take care.
Straight off meditation, we was concaving until we had that eternal dialogue that created our dialect. Now we in distinct rooms with pure souls having them conversations. Synergy and combinations. You flying, we waiting. Indian style in the gold temple of greatness. When you follow the North Star, you coming for the education. This is my audio book. These rhymes are just the imagery. More like an audiographic novel or a memoir about a young MC making timeless music with his mentor. I pray I grasp my letters. Nothing was meant to last forever.